When a person says, "I'm tired," most of the time they aren't talking about physical exhaustion. They're describing a heaviness inside the heart, a weight that settles on the soul when purpose becomes blurry. And the truth is, when you stand consciously in the presence of your Lord, when you truly remember who you belong to and who you are accountable to, that heaviness begins to disappear. Because tiredness comes when the *y* behind your effort fades, but strength comes when the *y* becomes clear again. We don't collapse because the journey is long. We collapse because our connection weakens. The body can tolerate far more than we think. It's the spirit that needs alignment. You see, the moment you forget why you started something, even a small task becomes a burden. A few steps feel like a mountain, waking up becomes a battle, discipline feels impossible. But when you remind yourself, "My Lord is watching my effort, my patience, my sacrifice," suddenly the same task feels lighter, the same responsibility feels meaningful, and you realize you're not actually tired. You're spiritually unanchored. You're drifting, not drained. If your heart is not connected to its purpose, the journey will always feel heavier than it really is. People who achieve the most in life, whether in their faith or in their goals, are not the ones with the easiest circumstances. They are the ones who keep their purpose alive in their hearts. They understand that purpose fuels discipline, and discipline fuels progress. And when the purpose is tied to Allah, the strength that follows is different. It's deeper, more resilient, more stable. You don't break as easily, you don't give up as quickly, you don't fall apart over small inconveniences. Because you're being held by something greater than yourself. Sometimes the exhaustion you feel is not from doing too much, but from doing too little of what nourishes your soul. You pray without presence, you wake without gratitude, you work without meaning, you seek without aiming. And then you wonder why everything feels heavy. It's because your heart has not been refreshed by remembrance. Your mind has not been grounded by intention. Your soul has not been charged by purpose. Without that inner nourishment, even rest can feel tiring. Even sleep can feel empty. But when you realign yourself, when you pause and remind your heart, "I am standing in the presence of the one who sees me, who supports me, who wrote my path with wisdom," something shifts. The heart straightens, the mind clears, the body follows. You start moving with conviction instead of hesitation. You start working with sincerity instead of fear. And the tasks that once felt overwhelming now feel manageable, because you're not relying on your own limited strength anymore. You're drawing from a well that never runs dry. Your problem is not tiredness, it's forgetfulness, forgetting who you are. Forgetting who you're accountable to, forgetting the blessings that surround you, forgetting the opportunities you once begged for, forgetting the strength that lives within you, and most importantly, forgetting the Lord who has never left you, even when you drifted far from Him. When you remember Him, your inner state recalibrates. When you remember Him, clarity returns. When you remember Him, the excuses you built begin to crumble. And when the excuses crumble, discipline rises. You are capable of more than you think. You have more strength than you acknowledge. You have more potential than you act upon. The only thing that weakens you is disconnecting from the one who empowered you in the first place. Stand in His presence with awareness, and you will discover you were never tired, you were simply undisciplined. People often stand before Allah with sincere prayers, pouring their hearts out, asking for change, asking for opportunities, asking for strength, asking for a way forward. And Allah hears every word, every hope, every trembling moment in which the soul tries to rise. But what many people forget is that after you raise your hands, you must also move your feet. After you make dua, you must take steps. Prayers open the doors, but discipline is what walks you through them. Without discipline, you remain standing at entrances Allah already unlocked for you, wondering why nothing is happening. It's not because the door is closed, it's because you haven't pushed it. There is a gap between what people ask Allah for and what they are willing to do afterward. They ask for success, yet resist the habits that create success. They ask for ease, yet run from the consistency that brings stability. They ask for guidance, yet live according to impulses instead of structure. They ask for transformation, but stay loyal to old routines. And then they question why life feels stagnant, but discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you're asking Allah to take you. If you don't build that bridge, you remain on the same side, holding dreams that never materialize. Look at the patterns of those who rise spiritually, emotionally, professionally. They are not people who simply wished for greatness. They showed Allah their seriousness through action. They didn't wait for motivation, they created momentum. They didn't rely on emotion, they relied on routine. They didn't only ask for help, they also proved they were ready for it. Because when you truly want something, you pursue it even on the days when your mood is low, your energy is weak, and your mind whispers excuses. That's discipline, that's sincerity, that's the real demonstration of your desire. Many people think their biggest fight is with tiredness, but the real struggle is with inconsistency. One day they are full of passion, the next day they vanish. One day they commit to a routine, and by the third day they disappear. They build intentions like towers, but build habits like sand, and sand never holds anything. Discipline is what gives your intentions a foundation. Without it, intentions float beautiful in theory, useless in reality. When your actions don't match your prayers, you create internal conflict. The heart wants progress, but your habits pull you backward. And when that tug-of-war continues long enough, people call it burnout, even though the true cause is lack of consistency. But something powerful happens when you see discipline through a spiritual lens. It stops feeling like pressure and starts feeling like devotion. It stops being a burden and becomes an expression of gratitude. It stops being a punishment and becomes a path. You begin to realize discipline is not about forcing yourself. It's about honoring the blessings you've been given. The blessing of time, the blessing of health, the blessing of opportunity, the blessing of another sunrise, another chance to do better, another day written in your name. Discipline is how you show Allah that you value these blessings. Every step you take consistently becomes a silent dua. Every effort you repeat becomes a message to your Lord that you are committed. And Allah never ignores commitment. He strengthens those who try. He lifts those who persist. He supports those who don't give up just because the process is slow or the path is long. When discipline enters your life, laziness loses grip, excuses lose credibility, fear loses its voice, and your prayers begin to transform from distant wishes into unfolding realities. In the end, the results you seek are not waiting somewhere far from you. They are waiting on the other side of your discipline. Most people don't realize that the body rarely gives up first. The body is far more patient, far more capable, far more resilient than the mind gives it credit for. What fails first is the mindset. What collapses first is commitment. What weakens first is the belief that I can still continue. And when that belief weakens, discipline dissolves. But when faith leads the mind strengthens the body, and suddenly the limits you once believed in start to look like illusions. This is why so many people misunderstand their own potential. They call themselves tired when, in reality, they have allowed doubt to take charge instead of trust. The human mind is powerful, but it is also constantly influenced by emotions, distractions, fears, insecurities, and whispers that convince you to stop before you even reach the testing point. You experience a little discomfort, and the mind says enough, a little uncertainty, and the mind says this is too much, a little delay in results, and the mind says, why am I even trying? But the body could still move, the body could still push, the body could still continue. What stopped was not strength, it was conviction. And when conviction stops, everything else follows. When a person places faith at the center of their effort, the internal dialogue changes. Instead of, I can't do this, it becomes, my Lord is with me. Instead of, this is too difficult, it becomes, this difficulty is shaping me. Instead of, why is the journey so long? It becomes, every step is being recorded. Faith rearranges the narrative. It gives you a lens that allows you to see purpose where others see pain. It gives you energy where others feel exhaustion. It gives you direction where others feel lost. And when you work with that awareness, the mind stops quitting early because it is being led by something stronger than emotion. The problem is not that people aren't capable, it's that they don't let their faith lead their effort. They let worry lead, they let fear lead, they let laziness lead, they let comparisons lead, and all of these weaken a person's will before the real test even begins. But when you shift your inner dialogue to one that is rooted in trust, something remarkable happens. Your inner resistance decreases, your excuses shrink, your courage grows. You stop viewing challenges as threats and start seeing them as opportunities for growth. You stop collapsing under pressure and start rising through it. There are days when you wake up and nothing feels right. Your commitments feel heavy, your goals feel distant, your progress feels slow, and in those moments it's tempting to surrender and label it as exhaustion. But these are the moments in which the strength of your faith either emerges or disappears. If you allow faith to take control, the mind begins to push back against its own weakness. It says, get up, try again, one step more, one page more, one prayer more, 1 hour more. And that one extra push is often all that separates stagnation from growth. People who succeed aren't the ones who never feel tired or discouraged. They're the ones who feel tired but don't let that feeling command them. They're the ones who feel fear but don't let fear dictate their choices. They're the ones who feel overwhelmed but don't let that overwhelm rewrite their identity. They move because their faith commands movement, not because their mood allows it. They strive because their conviction tells them that what Allah has written for them is reached through effort, not excuses. Your mind will always try to quit before your body, but if you place faith at the front of your life, your mind will learn to continue, your heart will learn to trust, and your body will follow with strength you never knew you had. Greatness never arrives suddenly. It doesn't come in one emotional moment, nor does it awaken in you just because you feel inspired for a day. Greatness is built quietly, slowly, repeatedly through consistency, yet many people live as if motivation is the fuel that will carry them to their dreams. They wait for the right feeling, the right mood, the right level of energy, but moods fluctuate, motivation fades, and inspiration comes in waves. If your commitment depends on how you feel, your progress will always be unstable. The real difference between those who rise and those who remain stuck is not talent, not intelligence, not luck, it's consistency. Consistency means showing up even when your heart feels heavy. It means doing the right thing even when the wrong thing feels easier. It means honoring your goals on the days when your mind is restless and your spirit feels quiet. And what makes consistency powerful is that Allah rewards effort, not moods. He rewards sincerity, not momentary passion. He rewards the person who keeps returning day after day, step after step, even when the results are invisible. Because consistency is the purest proof that you truly want what you're asking for. You see, motivation can start a journey, but it cannot complete one. Emotions can excite you, but they cannot sustain you. The people who achieve something meaningful don't rely on fleeting sparks. They build habits that turn small actions into daily standards. They don't wait for perfect days. They use ordinary days. They don't expect immediate results. They trust the process. And they don't measure their worth by how fast they move, but by how consistently they keep moving. One of the reasons so many people feel like they're failing is because they expect transformation from occasional effort. They put in 3 days of hard work and expect a miracle. They pray for success but only discipline themselves when it's convenient. They commit for a short moment and then disappear for weeks. And when their progress slows, they say, maybe this wasn't meant for me. But it wasn't destiny blocking them. It was inconsistency. When you remain consistent, something beautiful happens inside your soul. You begin to trust yourself again. You stop seeing challenges as signals to quit and start seeing them as natural parts of growth. Every small step, no matter how insignificant it seems, builds momentum. And momentum is powerful. A person who moves even a little bit every day will always surpass the person who moves a lot once in a while. The journey favors persistence, not intensity. Consistency also brings barakah into your effort. It invites divine support in ways you cannot predict. Allah strengthens the steps of the one who keeps walking. Even when your pace is slow, even when your progress is subtle, your steadiness testifies that you believe in the value of the path. And when you show Allah that you are serious, He opens doors you could never imagine. He places ease in your routine. He places clarity in your decisions. He places strength in your weaknesses, because consistency is a form of worship. It is an act of gratitude. There will be days when you feel nothing, days when you doubt yourself, days when you question your ability to continue. But these are the days when consistency matters most, because it's easy to act when you feel inspired. It's meaningful to act when your heart is quiet. That's when growth happens. That's when discipline takes over. That's when your character rises. That's when you prove to your Lord that you are not controlled by your emotions, but guided by your purpose. You don't need to be extraordinary every day. You only need to be consistent.